What it do, what it do? It's the Fly Roadside Guy checking in one time for the one. You know how we do. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Today I'm in the office and didn't get my truck out today, but what I want to do is make this video about how I actually got started in trucking. For those who may have followed me, maybe caught some of my older videos, I actually started off, I'm gonna start from the beginning. I was actually in automotive for 20 years approximately, and I was servicing vehicles, passenger cars and light trucks. I started off as a sales associate slash service writer. Within a couple years I moved up to a service manager position, and within a year from that I moved up into a store manager role. And I ran a few different stores in different states and locations. But when I got started in the trucking, it was kind of by chance. My wife was looking for a job at the time, or trying to pivot, looking for a different career. She was doing hair. She was a hairstylist for a period of time, and I was looking for something a little bit more stable. So she enrolled in a CDL school, and at the time I was actually in a bidding war between two automotive companies, maybe even three at the time, and I had wind up picking to go work with a automotive shop, and they had guaranteed me, well, quote unquote, they told me they was gonna pay me $1,000 a week. But when I got there and saw the paperwork, it went from $1,000 a week to $700 a week, with the potential to make bonuses and such. But it was such a slow store, and I was jumping ship to a different company. And I had familiar with the automotive store, but I knew in the past they wasn't getting a lot of traffic. They wasn't getting a lot of flow. So needless to say, I told my wife, I said, man, this ain't looking too good. And she made a call and spoke to the person in charge of the CDL school, and they said, well, hey, you know, if your husband wants to come in and in class with you, then, you know, we'll give him a seat. So needless to say, got my CDL, went to CDL class. It took about 3 weeks. Now, within that first week, for those of you who don't know, if you do plan on getting your CDL, within that first week, I mean, you're gonna probably get offers from different companies. I mean, after my first week, my second week, you was getting offers from different companies. I mean, Schneider, CR England, it's a whole plethora, US Express. I mean, they was knocking at your door. Stevens Transport. I mean, it was just coming. And within that first week, the school pretty much trained you to pass your CDL permit, get your permit. So needless to say, got my permit. After that week, for training, went over the road, got my CDL. Now, when I was in class, now this is what they tell you. They like, oh, you know, to get this experience, they gonna tell you gonna make a lot of money, which you can, but they definitely promote getting your over-the-road experience, and they promote safety. You know, safety #1. But if you want to get your CDL Class A license, which is what I have, going over the road and get your experience is definitely something that I would recommend. Now, do you necessarily have to go over the road? No, I didn't go over the road. I ain't go over the road, not when I necessarily started out of school. I didn't go over the road. Actually, I didn't even, after I got my CDL, I didn't even use it. I went right back into automotive like a dummy. But I went back into automotive for about 2 more years. So needless to say, I was kind of just trying to decide what I was going to do. So me and my wife had planned on team driving, but we had younger children at the time and trying to find a babysitter or a suitor that was going to be reputable, because I mean at the time it was both of us going out, and to leave young children, and I have two girls, two daughters. At the time, it was a little sketchy. I ain't gonna lie to you, it was a little sketchy. I wasn't sure if that was the move we was gonna make, but we still had our Class A license, needless to say. Um, she, I think, wound up taking a job with U.S. Express, but while I was still working in automotive, but she resigned from U.S. Express. She didn't like being over the road, away from home too much, too long either. So she basically got a job driving school buses, which in essence, it kind of helped a lot of putting us in position, well, at least put her in position where as though she was able to utilize her CDL. Um, she got a job. She wasn't away from home. It was local. Um, and, you know, for what it was, it compensated. Um, Now, like I say, after my 2 years in the going back in automotive, I resigned and started transporting trucks. Now, the way I got into transporting trucks was from my wife again. She, since she was driving the school bus during the summer times, you know, when school is out, some of the bus drivers, they want to, you know, still make some income, and a lot of the times they would do something called drive away. Hence how I got into it. So my wife started drive away during the summer as she was off from the school during the summer break. So needless to say, I was getting familiar with drive away by helping her. I was typically her chase driver. She would go pick up a school bus and she would transport it. And, you know, I would pick her up from different drop locations depending on where the bus was going. Sometimes she would go out of state and, you know, she would come up with her routes, how to get there and how to get back home. And she was able to get where she had to go, and I was able to help her along the way. And like I say, once I left automotive, I said, well, hey, it's time for me to try to utilize my CDL. So I never went over the road. I applied to Truck Movers, which was the company, no, actually I applied to Quality Drive Away first, which was the company my wife had signed on to. And I signed on with Quality. They needed over-the-road experience, and, you know, I was able to put it like this. I never went over the road with my CDL, but I've driven over the road with box trucks. I driven over the road with box trucks. I mean, hell, Enterprise, Rider, I done moved, you know what I'm saying, 700 miles. I done lived, you know, different states, so I done moved around and had to utilize some box trucks. So that was my over-the-road experience. Not to mention, I had a connection, a family member who had his own trucking company, and I used to drive for him. So, I mean, technically speaking, I was over the road, but I just wasn't over the road with my class, my CDL. I was over the road utilizing a box truck. And when you fill out the application, they ask for, you know, what pieces of equipment have you used, whether it be tractor, tractor trailer, straight truck, box truck, flatbed, and such and such. So, you know, with my working for my family member at the time, and he was trucking for years, you know, I used to help him out on moves and runs out of state. So, you know, yeah, I had over the road experience. So that's how I got started in trucking. Started off in drive away. You know what I mean? Started transporting trucks, and in drive away they only require you to have a Class B CDL license. So if anybody wants to get in trucking, go get your Class B license and start transporting trucks with drive-away. There's a lot of companies out there that need trucks transported, tractors, RVs. You can transport RVs. There's companies out there called Horizon. There's a lot of good companies out there. I mean, you definitely are working for yourself. Gonna have to run it like a business, and it can be lucrative if you know how to run it like a business and actually, take it seriously. But that's how I got started in trucking, as far as the trucking side. Now, fast forward from the drive away, I then actually, me and my wife actually I got my brother to come and watch my daughters for some time. But needless to say, we both we went to basically run for U.S. Express as team drivers. We did that for about a month and a half, maybe 2 months tops. And really, it worked out in the best way I see, because being over the road when you got a family, that shit hard. Don't let nobody tell you no different. And I'm a family man, so being away from my little girls, it took a toll. I ain't gonna lie, that shit took a toll. And she was home for a little bit because they was trying to find a trainer who wasn't a smoker, a female non-smoking trainer to train her for the time that she had to go out. So while I was over the road with U.S. Express, she was back home, and needless to say, while I was out on the road, I was still looking, because one thing that's good when you at your CDL, you can always find a job, you know what I'm saying? You can always find a job. So while I was out with U.S. Express, I was pretty much just looking for something local. I was going to utilize my drive-away experience that I had. I'm trying to think, we might have went with Panther. I can't remember if it was Panther first, then U.S. Express, or U.S. Express, then Panther, but we did team for Panther expedited freight as well, and then maybe U.S. Express, or one of the two. We did one first and the other. But it might have been that. Yeah, we started with U.S. Express, and then we found a team with Panther. Yeah, we didn't have to wait. She didn't have to wait. They was looking at bring us on, and it was a sleeper straight truck, which was pretty dope. I ain't gonna lie. It was a guy out in Florida. He was the owner of the company, and we did that for about maybe 4 or 5 months. Probably headed into close to like maybe Thanksgiving and Christmas of whatever year we got started, like 2017 or something like that. But after U.S. Express didn't pan out, rocked off with Panther for a little bit, which was pretty cool. It wasn't any forced dispatch. It was over the road. So, I got some over the road experience again, and I was still driving over the road technically when I was transporting trucks for quality, because I was going pretty much regional, but I was still getting experience, needless to say. So then we teamed up with Panther, did expedited freight for about 4 months, and like I said, being away from home and over the road, it still was kind of just, it was just hard. You know what I'm saying? It was hard. You know what I mean? So I'm not an advocate for going over the road. You know what I mean? Me personally, like, unless you single, like back in my younger days with no kids, none of that shit. Oh yeah, I'd have been out there all day long. You know what I'm saying? Like, no family. Yeah,